Welcome to Monk's Temple. Let's start with a confession. The idea of silence, it can feel like a reprimand, can't it? Like something we're supposed to want but secretly find uncomfortable. We're told to find quiet, to embrace the silence. But in the reality of our daily lives, silence often feels less like an embrace and more like a void. An awkward pause in the conversation of life. A blank space that our modern minds, trained on constant input, rush to fill. We mistake it for emptiness. For lack. For something to be avoided because in that quiet, the things we've been running from seem to find us. But what if everything you've been taught about silence is backwards? What if that so-called emptiness is, in fact, the most profound fullness you will ever experience? Not a barren room, but a library containing every answer you've ever sought. Not a deserted street, but a vibrant, living landscape where clarity grows wild. We have been sold a lie that wisdom is loud, that answers come from more information, more debate, more frantic thinking. We are like sailors in a storm, shouting over the wind for directions, never realizing the storm is the distraction. The true compass, the steady star, is found in the eye of the hurricane, in the profound, still center where the noise falls away. This is not a philosophy of withdrawal. This is a practical exploration of your own inner architecture. We're going to learn why the space between your thoughts is not a wasteland, but the most fertile ground for transformation. You don't need to become a monk on a mountain. You simply need to understand that you have been looking for answers in the noise, when they have always been waiting for you in the quiet. Ready to listen to a different frequency? Let's begin. Our world is a masterpiece of engineered distraction. Think about it. Every device, every platform, every advertisement is meticulously crafted to capture and hold your attention. Your focus is the most valuable commodity, and the marketplace is ruthless. In this endless auction, the quiet, persistent voice of your own innate wisdom has no flashy bid. It doesn't ping. It doesn't send push notifications. It speaks in whispers, in subtle nudges, in feelings of resonance or dissonance that we've been trained to override with logic and noise. I want to share a memory with you. Early in my own search, I spent time with an old woodworker who lived in a cabin in the Smoky Mountains. He crafted the most beautiful, flowing furniture from local timber. I watched him for days. He would spend what felt like an eternity just sitting with a rough-hewn plank of walnut. Not sketching. Not measuring. Just looking. Running his hands over the grain in silence. My youthful impatience finally bubbled over. I asked, "What are you looking for? How do you know what to make?" He didn't even glance my way, his eyes still on the wood. In a voice as rough and warm as the bark outside, he said, "I'm not looking for anything, boy. I'm listening. I'm waiting for the wood to tell me what it wants to be. You see, the knife has to follow the grain. The grain doesn't follow the knife." That moment was a hinge in my understanding. We spend our lives desperately trying to force the knife. To carve ourselves, our careers, our relationships according to some frantic, external plan, while completely ignoring, even fighting against, the silent, deep-running grain of our own true nature. Silence is where you learn to feel that grain. It's where you stop forcing and start listening. So let's dismantle the first and biggest myth right at the source. true silence is not the absence of thought. Telling yourself to stop thinking is a recipe for frustration. It's like trying to command your heart to stop beating. The effort itself creates more noise. The silence we are speaking of is more sophisticated. It is the conscious awareness of the space between the thoughts. It is the blank parchment between the written words. It is the still air in the concert hall between the movements of a symphony, the pause that allows the previous note to resonate and the next one to be anticipated. Your thoughts, your emotions, they are the ever-changing weather patterns. But your fundamental awareness, your consciousness, that is the sky itself. Vast, boundless, and unchanging. It silently holds the thunderstorm and the sunny day without being damaged or defined by either. The suffering comes when we mistake ourselves for the storm. We believe the dark clouds of a depressive thought are us. We think the lightning flash of anger defines us. We get lost in forecasting every passing mental cloud, forgetting the silent, spacious sky that is our true home. When you learn to touch that space between thoughts, even for a single, conscious breath, everything changes. It's the moment you realize you've been completely absorbed in a gripping film, and then you remember you're in a theater. The spell breaks. From that seat of awareness, the drama on the screen, the drama of your own worries and stories, is still happening, but you are no longer trapped inside it. You have perspective. And from perspective comes choice. Before we go deeper, if these teachings are resonating with you, if you feel that quiet whisper that there might be another way to meet your days, consider joining our community here at Monk's Temple. Hit the subscribe button and tap the bell. It's completely free, and it ensures you won't miss our weekly explorations into mindfulness, compassion, and practical wisdom for everyday life. You're not just subscribing to a channel, you're joining a quiet refuge, a digital sangha of fellow travelers. Now, let's continue together. Let me give you a concrete example from my own life. There was a time when I stood at a professional and personal crossroads so significant it felt like standing at the edge of a cliff. The pressure was immense. My mind became a committee of terrified advisors, each shouting over the other. I made pros and cons lists that spiraled into endless sublists. I sought counsel from friends, only to become confused by their well-meaning but conflicting advice. I was a hamster on a wheel of my own making, running faster and faster but going nowhere. The mental fatigue was physical. In a moment of surrender, I chose a different tactic. I drove to a large, quiet arboretum on the outskirts of the city. I didn't go with a plan to solve my problem. I gave myself a radical permission slip, the permission to not know. I found a bench in the bamboo grove, where the tall canes creaked and whispered in the breeze. I just sat. I watched the dappled light shift on the ground. I listened to the rustle of 1,000 leaves, a sound like gentle rain. I felt the cool, earthy air. I wasn't doing anything productive. I was, by society's standards, wasting time. But in that deliberate non-doing, in that ceasefire with my frantic mind, a shift occurred. The clarity that emerged wasn't a logical argument. It wasn't a voice. It was a quiet, deep body knowing. A sense of rightness, like a key sliding smoothly into a lock. The correct path forward didn't reveal itself because I'd analyzed it to death. It revealed itself because the turbulent, muddy water of my striving had finally, mercifully, been allowed to settle. The answer, clear, solid, and undeniable, had been sitting at the bottom all along. I just needed to stop stirring. This is the first and most essential key I want you to take away. The most profound answers in your life will rarely come from thinking harder. Very often, they will arrive when you have the courage to think less. To create a spacious gap in your mental activity, and allow wisdom to fill it from a deeper source. This understanding is not the property of any single philosophy or religion. It is a universal human truth, recognized by cultures who live in intimacy with quiet. Consider the Tuareg, the legendary blue men of the Sahara. For millennia, they have navigated one of the most silent and severe landscapes on earth. In their world, silence is not emptiness, it is the primary teacher. They have a concept of listening to the voice of the desert. This is not a sound heard with the ears. It is a subtle intelligence perceived in the vast quiet, an intuition for finding hidden water, for reading the stars not as maps but as stories, for sensing a shift in the wind that speaks of a distant sandstorm long before it arrives. This wisdom is not frantic or forced. It is received. It is a form of deep listening that transcends the auditory. In Tuareg society, immense respect is accorded not necessarily to the loudest or most charismatic speaker, but to the elder who can sit in the deepest, most patient silence, one who is attuned to the silent language of the land and the caravan. Their entire navigation system, their survival, is calibrated in the quiet. We, in our world of digital pings and sensory overload, have largely disconnected from this internal calibration system. We outsource our direction to GPS satellites and our answers to search algorithms, while the most sophisticated and personalized guidance system ever created, the silent intelligence of our own being, sits unattended, its signal drowned out by static. Now, because we live in an age that respects data, let's ground this in what modern science is discovering. It beautifully corroborates what the mystics and desert nomads have always known. Neuroscientists at institutions like Yale, Harvard, and MIT have spent decades studying a specific brain network called the default mode network, or DMN. Think of your DMN as your brain's background radio station. It's most active when you're not focused on an external task. It's the engine of your self-referential thinking. It's what kicks in when you're daydreaming, replaying that awkward conversation from 3 years ago, worrying about a future meeting, constructing the ongoing narrative of me, myself, and I, my past, my future, my regrets, my desires. This is the primary source of your mental chatter, your rumination, your internal noise. Here is the fascinating part. Research consistently shows that practices which cultivate inner silence and present moment awareness, such as mindfulness meditation, directly and measurably quiet the activity of this default mode network. It's like turning down the volume on your internal storyteller. And when that happens, it's not that the brain goes dark. The opposite occurs. Other, often quieter, neural pathways come online and strengthen. Pathways for sustained focus and attention. Pathways that connect you to the felt sensations of your body. Pathways linked to empathy and compassion. In the stillness, the brain literally reconfigures itself. It shifts from a state of obsessive self-referencing and mental time travel to a state of direct, clear, unflinching perception of the present moment. Your mind, left unchecked, is like a computer running every single program simultaneously while streaming high-definition video. It overheats, it freezes, it glitches. The practice of silence is the conscious act of opening the task manager, closing the non-essential applications, and allowing the core processor, your conscious awareness, to operate with its full clarity and power. So, the question becomes, how do we actually do this? How do we access this space between thoughts without triggering a civil war in our own heads? The answer is not about achieving a perfectly blank, thoughtless state. It's about a fundamental shift in your relationship to the content of your mind. Imagine yourself as that potter at the wheel. The spinning wheel is the relentless flow of time and experience. The wet, shapeless clay is the raw material of your life in this moment. Your thoughts, your swirling emotions, your physical sensations, your memories. They are messy, chaotic, and have a momentum of their own. If you approach the clay with tense, controlling hands, desperate to force it into a preconceived vase or bowl, what happens? It wobbles. It collapses. It flies off the wheel entirely. The tension in your hands creates failure in the form. The master potter knows the first, most critical step is not to shape, but to center. To apply a calm, consistent, and gentle presence to the spinning chaos. This presence isn't forceful, it's attentive. It meets the clay where it is. Slowly, because of that steady, silent presence, the wild spinning finds its own true, calm axis. From that place of centered equilibrium, then the shaping can begin. And every movement from that point is fluid, efficient, and graceful. The pot emerges from the clay, it is not imposed upon it. Your daily practice of seeking silence is that same act of centering. You are not trying to annihilate the clay, your thoughts and feelings. You are not at war with your own experience. You are learning to provide the steady, silent, compassionate presence that allows the chaos to find its own natural order. From that place of inner equilibrium, everything else, insight, clarity, decisive action, creative inspiration, becomes not just possible, but the natural next step. Let's step into a living cathedral of silence, the coast redwood forests. These trees are some of the oldest, tallest living organisms on our planet. Some were seedlings when Rome fell. They exist in a realm of profound quiet, a silence so deep it has a tangible weight, a texture. It's a silence that seems to slow time itself. Scientists studying these forests have uncovered a secret that mirrors our inner world. Beneath the visible forest floor lies another, hidden forest, a vast, intricate network of fungal threads called mycelium. This has been poetically dubbed the Wood Wide Web. Through this silent, subterranean network, the trees are in constant communication. They don't just compete, they cooperate. They share nutrients. A tree under attack by insects can send chemical warnings through this network to its neighbors, who then boost their own defenses. Even more astonishing, a mother tree can recognize and nourish her own seedlings through this fungal internet, giving them a better chance to survive in the deep shade. But here is the breathtakingly beautiful part. All of this vital, life-sustaining communication, this sharing of resources and warnings and nurturing, happens in total and complete silence. No rustle of leaves signals it. No creak of bark. It occurs entirely beneath the surface, in the dark, rich, quiet earth. The most essential conversations for the health and survival of the entire ecosystem are silent ones. Your own deepest wisdom operates on a remarkably similar, inner network. It's not found in the noisy, surface-level chatter of your conscious, worrying mind. It resides in the silent, subsurface connections, your gut intuition, the intelligence of your body, which holds emotions and memories your conscious mind has forgotten, your ancestral knowing, your creative subconscious. To access this network, to download its guidance and nourishment, you must, like the trees, go quiet. You must turn your awareness inward, beneath the surface noise, and listen. This brings us to the core practice. It is not complex. But it is profoundly counterintuitive to our conditioned, do something, mindset. Here is the analogy: you face a problem, a dilemma, a source of stress. Your mind, like a panicked child, immediately starts hurling stones into the pond of your awareness. Plunk. That's the stone of, what if I fail? Plunk. That's the stone of, remember that time you embarrassed yourself? Plunk. That's the stone of, they probably think you're incompetent. The water, your clarity, is so agitated, so murky with churned up sediment, you can't see a thing. You feel, instinctively, that you need to do more, throw more analytical stones, seek more advice stones, to find the answer you believe is buried at the bottom. But you are only making the water more opaque. The revolutionary, transformative act is to stop throwing stones. To sit down on the bank of your own being. To consciously stop the frantic activity. To breathe. And to simply, patiently, watch the ripples you've already created slowly dissipate. As the water stills, it first becomes reflective, showing you what is above, the open, spacious sky of possibility. Then, as the last of the sediment settles, your vision clears all the way to the bottom. And there it is. The answer. It was always there, right where you intuitively knew it would be. You didn't need to create it. You needed to cease the activity that was obscuring it. The answer emerges not from the storm, but from the calm you cultivate after the storm passes. In our first moments together, we began to see silence not as an emptiness to be feared, but as a profound fullness to be explored. We touched on the idea that the space between your thoughts is where true clarity lives. Now, let's deepen that understanding. Let's map this inner landscape of quiet by looking outward, to the greatest teacher of all, the natural world, and the science that seeks to understand it. Here, we find not just metaphors, but direct, living mirrors of the silent intelligence within you. Think of a spider's web. It is a masterpiece of silent engineering. Built in the quiet hours, it is a structure of breathtaking precision, designed for a single purpose: to feel. It does not shout. It does not chase. It rests in utter stillness, its entire being a receptive field. The moment a vibration travels along its silken threads, the signal of sustenance or threat, the spider knows. Its response is immediate, precise, and effortless. It doesn't need to be loud, it needs to be exquisitely, silently attuned. Your mind, when cluttered with noise, is like a hand slamming down on that web, creating such a chaotic vibration that you can't discern any useful signal. The practice of silence is the gentle process of stilling the web of your own awareness, so you can feel the true vibrations of intuition, insight, and inner knowing when they arrive. Consider the owl. Specifically, the great gray owl, one of nature's most silent hunters. Its wings are feathered in such a way that they muffle the sound of air rushing over them. It flies in near total acoustic silence. This isn't a lack. It's a supreme evolutionary advantage. By eliminating its own noise, it can hear with unimaginable precision the faintest scuffle of a vole under 2 feet of snow. Its silence amplifies its ability to perceive the truth of its environment. This is a perfect analogy for your own perception. The constant noise of your internal narrative, the planning, regretting, fantasizing, is the rustling of your own wings. It drowns out the subtle, crucial signals from your life. The quiet voice of conscience, the gentle pull of inspiration, the soft warning of intuition, the faint signal of a need not being met. Inner silence is the evolutionary upgrade that allows you to mute the sound of your own mental wings, so you can finally hear the world, and your own soul, with crystal clarity. You stop generating static and start receiving the broadcast. Let's translate this into the language of your own biology. Your brain communicates through electrical patterns called brainwaves. For most of your waking life, especially when stressed, anxious, or focused on busy work, your brain operates in high-frequency beta waves. This is the state of the chattering mind, the problem-solving engine. It's necessary, but it's not the state of deep knowing. As you begin to relax, close your eyes, or focus quietly, your brain shifts into alpha waves. This is the gateway state. The mental chatter begins to subside. You become more present, more receptive. This is the state of the potter centering the clay, the owl in silent flight. Go deeper, through consistent practice, and you may touch the theta wave state. This is the realm of deep meditation, vivid intuition, and profound insight. It's where the downloads happen. This is not a state of thinking, it's a state of receiving. It's the deep, silent web feeling the precise vibration. Most people only brush this state in the moments just before sleep or just upon waking, in the hypnagogic or hypnopompic silence. Finally, in delta waves, in deep, dreamless sleep, the most profound restoration and unconscious processing occurs. The journey into silence is, neurologically speaking, a conscious journey down the spectrum from high-frequency beta noise into the slower, deeper, more synchronized waves of alpha, theta, and delta. You are not turning your brain off. You are tuning it to a different, more profound channel. I want to take you to the heart of the ocean, to meet a being that embodies silent power. The blue whale, the largest creature to have ever lived on our planet, is also the loudest. But its power is not in a screech or a roar. Its communication is a deep, low-frequency hum, a profound pulse that can travel across entire ocean basins. This song is so deep, so low, that our human ears often cannot even perceive it without technology. It operates in the silent, foundational register of sound. In the noisy shallows of the sea, small fish dart and chatter. Their communication is quick, local, and easily disrupted. The blue whale exists in the silent depths, and its communication is slow, immense, and far-reaching. It doesn't need to be shrill to be powerful, its message is carried by its depth. Your own noisy, frantic thoughts are the chatter of the surface dweller, reactive, localized, and easily thrown into chaos by every passing wave. Your deepest wisdom, your core knowing, is the blue whale's song. It is low, slow, and profoundly powerful. But to hear it, you must descend from the choppy, noisy surface of your mind into the deeper, quieter waters of your being. The practice of silence is that descent. A few years ago, I found myself in a period of intense personal transition. It felt like my internal landscape was all earthquake and no solid ground. In an attempt to find some stability, I committed to a simple, silent ritual. Every single day, for 3 months, rain or shine, I would go to the same spot in a nearby oak grove at the same time, just before sunset. I wouldn't bring a phone. I wouldn't try to meditate in a formal way. I would just sit on the same log and watch the trees. For the first few weeks, my mind was the main event. I'd sit there, but I was mentally miles away, rehashing conversations, worrying about the future. The trees were just a blurry backdrop to my drama. But slowly, something shifted. The sheer consistency of the ritual, the silent, daily showing up, began to wear down my resistance. I started to actually see the trees. I noticed how, despite the chaos in my life, they followed a silent, unwavering rhythm. I saw how a single oak leaf would tremble in a way entirely different from a maple leaf next to it. I watched a spider rebuild her web in the same corner every evening with patient, silent determination. I saw the light change, minute by minute, in a slow, golden dance. I began to feel the trees not as scenery, but as presences. Ancient, patient, silent witnesses. And in that silent, shared presence, my own internal earthquake began to settle. The problems didn't magically vanish, but they lost their sharp, terrifying edges. They became part of a larger, slower, more rhythmic landscape. I hadn't found answers by thinking. I had found perspective by joining, in silence, with a timescale far greater than my own. The trees, in their silent, seasonal being, taught me the meaning of patience and the art of holding ground without needing to say a word. My ritual wasn't about escaping my life, it was about anchoring it in a deeper, quieter reality. Let's borrow a principle from physics, one that is beautifully, perfectly applicable to your mind. It's the principle of sedimentation. Imagine a glass filled with water and fine, swirling silt. Shake it vigorously. The water becomes a cloudy, opaque brown. You cannot see through it. Is the water inherently dirty? No. Is the silt inherently bad? No. The problem is the agitation. Now, place the glass on a stable table. Stop shaking it. What happens? Nothing dramatic at first. But if you are patient, if you simply allow the glass to rest in stillness, a natural process begins. The silt, no longer kept in chaos by your forced movement, starts to settle. Particle by particle, it drifts downward, pulled by gravity. The water above it becomes clearer, and clearer, until eventually, it is perfectly transparent. The silt now rests in a neat layer at the bottom. You can see through the water effortlessly. Your mind is that glass of water. Your thoughts, memories, and emotions are the silt. They are not the enemy. Your constant mental agitation, the shaking of worry, planning, and rumination, is what creates the obscuring cloud. The practice of silence is the conscious act of setting the glass down, of ceasing to shake it. It is a deliberate non-agitation. And in that enforced stillness, the natural law of your own being takes over. The mental and emotional particles begin to settle. What rises to the top is not a new thought, but clarity itself. The ability to simply see things as they are. The answer was never in fighting the silt. It was in ceasing to stir it. Our final metaphor from the natural world takes us underground, into the profound silence of a limestone cave. Here, in absolute darkness and near total quiet, some of Earth's most magnificent architecture is built. Stalactites and stalagmites. These towering spires are not built by force or sudden action. They are formed by the silent, patient accumulation of single droplets of water, each leaving behind a microscopic deposit of mineral. A single drop is meaningless. But over 10,000 years of silent, consistent dripping, a cathedral column emerges. This is how wisdom and resilience are built within you. We want breakthroughs to be loud, dramatic events, a lightning bolt of insight. And sometimes they are. But the unshakable foundation of a quiet mind, the deep resilience to face life's storms, is built like a stalactite, in the dark, silent, unseen moments of daily practice. It is built by the consistent, patient return to the breath when the mind wanders. By the silent 3-second pause before a reactive email. By the conscious listening to a partner without formulating your reply. Each of these is a single, silent drop. Insignificant on its own. But over months and years, this silent accumulation builds an inner structure of immense strength and beauty that no external storm can easily shake. Your character, your peace, your depth. These are silently accreted in the dark caves of your consistent practice, not forged in the noisy fire of occasional epiphany. So, let's gather the maps we've been given from this silent landscape. From the spider's web, we learn that silence is about becoming a receptive field, not a noisy hunter. From the owl, we learn that our own noise drowns out crucial signals, and silence is the ultimate perceptual amplifier. From brainwave science, we learn that silence is a conscious neurological descent from frantic noise into receptive clarity. From the blue whale, we learn that our deepest wisdom is a low, slow frequency heard only in the depths, not on the chaotic surface. From the oak tree, we learn that silent, consistent presence grants a perspective that dissolves panic. From the physics of sedimentation, we learn that clarity is the natural result of ceasing mental agitation, not the product of more mental force. And from the cave stalactite, we learn that an unshakable inner life is built silently, drop by patient drop, in the dark. This is the silent landscape you carry within you. It is not a void. It is a thriving, intelligent, deeply ordered ecosystem. Your task is not to create it, but to learn its pathways, to respect its rhythms, and to visit it often. In our next session, we will move from understanding this landscape to learning the practical gates, the simple, doable keys, that allow you to step into it, anytime, anywhere. We'll move from metaphor to method. We've wandered the silent landscape within, seen its metaphors in nature and its signatures in science. We know it exists, this fertile ground of clarity beneath the noise. But knowing a serene forest exists on the map is different from knowing the trailhead, the first step that takes you from the busy road into the quiet trees. How do you actually enter that silence when your mind is a riot of plans and worries? The shift isn't mystical, it's mechanical. It's an alchemy of attention. It's about finding the key that fits the lock of your own busy mind. Think of your current state of noise not as a prison, but as a room with many doors. You've just been staring at the walls. Today, we identify the doors and turn the keys. These are not complicated rituals. They are simple, portable, and profoundly effective gates from the realm of reaction into the kingdom of response. From noise into knowing. The master key, the passkey that opens almost every other door, is the conscious anchoring of attention in the physical body. Your mind can be in the past or the future, but your body is always, irrevocably, here. In the now. It is your anchor to the present moment, the one place where silence is always accessible. When you are hijacked by mental noise, you have left your body. You are a ghost haunting a theoretical past or an imagined future. The way back is through physical sensation. This is not abstract. It is incredibly concrete. Gate 1, the breath anchor. This is the most portable gate of all. You don't need to change your breathing. Just notice it. For the next 60 seconds, wherever you are, let your attention rest on the physical sensation of the breath. Feel the cool air at the tip of your nostrils on the inhalation. Feel the slightly warmer air on the exhalation. Don't visualize it. Don't label it. Just feel it. Your mind will sprint away to a worry, a song, a memory. That's fine. That's what minds do. The moment you notice it has wandered, without judgment or frustration, gently escort your attention back to the sensation at the nostrils. That simple act, noticing you've wandered and returning, is the fundamental rep of mental fitness. It is the bicep curl for your awareness muscle. You're not failing when your mind wanders, you're being given the opportunity to succeed by choosing to return. Gate 2, the tactile gate. Your skin is the largest organ of your body and a direct conduit to the present. When noise overwhelms, choose a tactile sensation and pour all your attention into it for 10 seconds. It could be the feeling of your palms flat on your desk, the weight of your body in the chair, the pressure points on your seat and back, the feeling of your feet solidly on the floor. Imagine roots growing from your soles into the earth. This isn't relaxation, though it may cause it. This is relocation. You are relocating your consciousness from the abstract storm in your head to the undeniable, solid reality of physical contact. The mind stories lose their power when you fully inhabit the truth of sensation. Let me share a story about a friend of mine, a graphic designer in Seoul. She lived in a constant state of deadline noise, both external and internal. She felt perpetually frazzled. I suggested one ridiculously simple practice for her walk from the subway to her studio. I called it high-low. For that 7-minute walk, her only job was to first listen for the highest pitched sound she could detect, a bird, a bicycle bell, a child's laugh. Then, to find the lowest pitched sound, the rumble of a subway deep underground, the bass from a passing car, the drone of air conditioning. High. Then low. Then high again. She reported back a week later, amazed. That simple, gamified anchor of her attention in her auditory sense did two things. First, it forcibly pulled her out of the tape loop of work anxiety in her head and into the sensory reality of the city. Second, and more importantly, she began to hear the city not as a stressful onslaught of noise, but as a complex, layered symphony. The anxiety didn't have space to dominate because her attention was engaged in a specific, present-moment task. She didn't silence the city, she changed her relationship to it by directing her attention through a simple gate. Her walk transformed from a stressful commute into a daily, mini-safari of sound. This works because of what we might call cognitive theft. Your mental energy, your pure, aware attention, is a finite currency. The mind's habitual patterns of regret, living in the past, and anxiety, living in the future, are thieves. They constantly steal your attention currency from the only place it can be effectively spent, the present moment. You feel drained because your resources are being looted by psychic bandits. Placing your attention on a physical sensation, breath, touch, sound, is like installing a vault door on your currency reserve. You are saying, for these 10 seconds, this attention is not available for theft. It is invested here, in the reality of now. The thieves, the ruminative thoughts, may rattle the door, but they cannot get in. And in that protected space, your energy accumulates. Clarity becomes possible because you are no longer funding the civil war in your head. Gate 3, the sacred pause. This is the most powerful gate for transforming your life in real time. It's the micro-silence between stimulus and response. Something happens, a critical email, a partner's sharp word, a sudden obstacle. Your conditioned, neurological impulse is to react immediately, to fire back, to snap, to panic. The sacred pause is the deliberate insertion of a moment of silence between that spark and your powder keg. It can be as short as one breath. Before your fingers hit the keyboard, before the words leave your lips, you stop. You feel the heat of the reaction in your body, the clenched jaw, the tight chest. You anchor there for one full breath. In that silent sliver of time, you reclaim your sovereignty. You move from being a puppet of your conditioning to being a person with a choice. The reaction may still come, but it will be a chosen response, not a reflex. This gate doesn't create silence in the world, it creates it in you, right at the point of greatest impact. Think of your attention as a camera lens. In its default, distracted state, the lens is spinning wildly, trying to focus on everything at once, the past memory, the future worry, the present sensation, the internal critic. The result is a blurry, nauseating image. Life feels overwhelming and incoherent. Each of these gates, the breath, the tactile sensation, the sound game, the pause, is an act of manually focusing the lens. You are choosing, with intention, a single point of focus, this breath, these hands, that sound, this moment before speaking. When you do that, the chaos around that single point doesn't disappear, but it falls into a soft, manageable background. The single point becomes vivid, clear, and stable. Silence isn't about erasing the background noise of life. It's about developing the skill to focus so deeply on one point of present moment reality that the noise loses its power to destabilize you. I used to have a visceral hatred for waiting rooms, doctors' offices, garages, government buildings. The forced inactivity felt like torture, and my mind would spiral into impatience and frustration. Then I decided to use them as my laboratory. I created a game, find 3 mundane, silent details to observe with absolute curiosity. Not to judge, just to observe. In one particularly drab room, I focused on 1. The bizarre, repeating pattern of the 1970s wallpaper, tiny bronze shields against a mustard background. 2. The almost imperceptible, high-frequency hum of the fluorescent light tube. 3. The precise way the second hand on the wall clock jerked forward, pausing microscopically between each tick. By the third detail, something had shifted. I was no longer an annoyed person waiting. I was an explorer, an anthropologist of the mundane. The frustration melted away, replaced by a detached, almost amused curiosity. Time didn't actually pass faster, but my suffering about it vanished. I had used the gates of sensory attention to exit the mental prison of waiting and enter the free space of observing. The silence I found wasn't in the room, it was in the quality of my attention. So, you now have a toolkit, a hierarchy of gates. Start where you are. In high-stress moments, go physical and immediate, the tactile gate, 10 seconds of pure touch. For building the muscle, use the daily drill, the breath anchor, 1 to 5 minutes of sensation focus. To break autopilot in daily life, engage playfully, the sound safari or visual curiosity game. To transform your interactions and emotional life, master the meta skill, the sacred pause. This is alchemy. You are taking the base metal of scattered, reactive attention and, through these simple, repeatable actions, transmuting it into the gold of focused, present moment awareness. And in that focused awareness, the static fades, and the signal of your own wisdom emerges. These gates are not meant to be used forever. They are training wheels. Their purpose is to give you a tangible, repeatable experience of what it feels like to step out of the noise and into the silent field of your own awareness. With practice, you won't need to find a gate. You will realize you are already on the other side. The silent landscape becomes your home territory, and the noisy world becomes a place you visit, with a guaranteed pathway back. You now have the keys. The next step is to see what other explorers have found in these silent territories. In our next part, we'll travel across cultures and through history, gathering stories of silence from sources you might never expect. We'll see how this universal human capacity has been recognized, cultivated, and revered in traditions far and wide. We've equipped ourselves with practical keys, the gates of attention that lead from noise to knowing. But we are not the first travelers on this path. The recognition of silence as a source of power and clarity is a thread woven through the tapestry of human history, appearing in cultures separated by continents and centuries. These are not competing doctrines, but different dialects of the same silent language. By listening to these stories, we see our own modern struggle reflected and dignified. We realize we are not fixing a personal flaw, but reconnecting with a human inheritance. Today, we step through the archway and gather wisdom from across the globe and through time. Let's begin in the Celtic traditions of ancient Britain and Ireland. Here, silence was not merely absence, it was a sacred space known as Feth Fiata, often translated as the magic mist or the web of silence. Druids and seers were said to be able to draw this Feth Fiata around themselves, becoming invisible, not to the eye, but to the chaotic, distracting forces of the world. Within this enchanted silence, they could perceive the subtle connections between all things, hear the language of the trees and stones, and receive prophecy. This isn't fantasy escapism. It's a profound metaphor. Your own practice of creating a Feth Fiata, web of silence through focused attention, is what renders you invisible to the distracting, draining chatter of modern life, the news cycles, social comparisons, trivial anxieties. Within that self-created silence, you too can perceive subtler connections, the link between your mood and your body's tension, the true root of a conflict, the quiet intuition about a path forward. You become a seer in your own life. Journey now to the far north, to the Inuit hunters of the Arctic. Survival here depends on a profound, active silence called Kanakturnik, which means being resourceful through deep listening and problem solving. But this listening goes far beyond sound. A hunter waiting at a seal's breathing hole does so in absolute physical and mental stillness for hours. He is listening with his entire being. To the faintest vibration through the ice, to the subtle shift in the wind, to his own sharpened intuition. He merges with the silence of the landscape until he and the environment are one coherent field of awareness. His success, his family's sustenance, depends on the quality of his inner quiet. For us, the breathing hole is the moment of decision, the point of creative spark, the instant of potential connection. Our modern habit is to thrash at the ice. To overthink, to research obsessively, to ask everyone's opinion. The Inuit wisdom teaches us that the answer often comes not from more frantic activity, but from a profound, patient stillness that allows us to perceive the subtle signal, the true need, the elegant solution, the authentic word, when it finally arises. It is the wisdom of strategic non-action, powered by deep, attentive silence. Now, to the heart of one of the world's oldest systematic explorations of silence. The Indian subcontinent and the practice of vipassana, or insight meditation. While associated with Buddhism, its core technique, the silent, disciplined observation of bodily sensation, is a universal science of the mind. I want to share a story from a Mumbai-based software engineer named Arjun. Arjun lived in sensory overload. His work was high stakes, his city never slept, and his mind was a relentless engine. He attended a 10-day Vipassana course, where participants take a vow of noble silence, no talking, no eye contact, no communication. For 10 days, he did nothing but sit in silence and observe the play of physical sensations on his body, from itching to pain to tingling, without reaction. He described the first few days as mental torture. His mind raged against the restraint. But around day 5, a shift occurred. The noise didn't stop, but it lost its urgency. It became like traffic outside a well-insulated window. In the spacious silence that opened within, he had a shocking realization. The constant tension in his shoulders wasn't just stress, it was the physical anchor of a deep-seated fear of failure dating back to childhood exams. He hadn't thought his way to this, he had felt his way to it, in silence. The insight wasn't intellectual, it was embodied, and therefore, liberating. He returned to Mumbai's chaos not as a victim, but with an inner buffer of silence he could access at will. Vipassana teaches that the body's silent language of sensation is a direct transcript of the mind's contents. To listen to the body in stillness is to read your own subconscious. Cross the sea to Japan, where silence, Chinmaku, is woven into the fabric of aesthetic and spiritual discipline. Consider the art of sumi-e, ink wash painting. The master spends more time in silent preparation, grinding the ink stick on the stone, contemplating the blank paper, than in the act of painting itself. The brush is loaded, then held in a moment of absolute, poised stillness. In that silence, the painter becomes one with the intention, the bamboo stalk not yet born. Then, the stroke is executed with swift, irrevocable confidence. There is no hesitation, no correction possible. The silence beforehand is not empty. It is charged with creative potential. The actual painting is merely the manifestation of that silent culmination. This is the artistry of a well-lived moment. How often do we speak or act reactively, the brushstroke of our behavior wobbly and fraught with correction? The practice of Chinmaku, of inserting a moment of silent, poised awareness before action, is what allows our stroke to be confident, clear, and true. It makes our actions works of art rather than hasty scribbles. Travel to the ancient wisdom of Australia's first peoples, the Aboriginal communities. They speak of Didiri, pronounced da-did-e. It is a deep, inner spring of quiet that means, inner, deep listening and quiet, still awareness. But Didiri is more than personal meditation. It is a state of contemplative, respectful observation that binds a person to country, to community, and to the dream time. It is listening to the land until you hear its story, listening to a person until you hear their spirit, listening to your own heart until you hear its place in the great pattern. Miriam Rose Ungunmerbauman, an Aboriginal elder, describes Didiri as the sound of deep water calling. It is a silent call. In our terms, Didiri is the antithesis of the transactional conversation or the problem-solving mind. It is the silence of non-agenda. It's what happens when you sit with a problem not to fix it, but to truly understand it. When you listen to a loved one not to reply, but to fully receive them. This silent, receptive awareness is seen as the foundation for healing, for community, and for true knowing. We find a powerful Western expression of this in the Christian tradition of the Religious Society of Friends, the Quakers. Their central practice is the silent meeting for worship. They gather and sit in collective silence, waiting. There is no liturgy, no designated speaker. The silence is the medium. If someone feels moved by the Spirit to share a message, they speak. Then the silence resonates, absorbing and holding the words. The power is in the group's shared commitment to the quiet, out of which authentic, spontaneous insight, known as the still, small voice, can arise for any member. This model democratizes wisdom. It says divine insight or profound clarity isn't reserved for a priest on a stage, it is accessible to anyone in the depth of the shared silence. For us, this underscores the power of creating meetings for worship with ourselves, appointments of non-negotiable silence where we simply wait, without agenda, for the still, small voice of our own deepest intuition to speak. We are both the congregation and the potential vessel. I experimented with this concept in a very simple, personal way. I instituted a weekly, silent dinner. One night a week, I would prepare a meal, set the table beautifully for one, and then eat in utter silence. No phone, no book, no music, no TV. Just the food and me. The first time was uncomfortably awkward. My mind jabbered to fill the void. But by the third bite, something shifted. I began to actually taste the food. The sharp tang of the vinegar, the earthy complexity of the herbs, the creamy texture of the cheese, each sensation was vivid, almost startling. I noticed my own chewing, the rhythm of my breathing. The meal, which usually lasted 10 distracted minutes, stretched to 40 minutes of immersive experience. I wasn't just consuming calories, I was in a dynamic, silent relationship with nourishment. I emerged not just fed, but refreshed. It was a masterclass in Didiri applied to a plate of pasta. It proved that any ordinary activity, enveloped in intentional silence, becomes a portal to extraordinary presence. So, what is the common thread in this global tapestry of silence? The Celtic faith Fiata teaches us to create a protective web of quiet. The Inuit Kanakturnik teaches the power of patient, attentive stillness for survival-level clarity. The Vipassana tradition teaches that the body observed in silence reveals the mind's secrets. Japanese Chinmaku teaches the creative power of the poised pause before action. Aboriginal Didiri teaches deep, non-transactional listening as the root of connection. The Quaker tradition teaches the democratization of wisdom in collective, waiting silence. They all point to one truth: silence is not a retreat from the world, it is a deeper, more resonant way of engaging with it. It is the operating system for intuition, the incubator for creativity, the sanctuary for healing, and the common ground of our shared humanity. You are not practicing a niche technique. You are reclaiming a birthright recognized by the most insightful cultures across time. You are learning to speak the native tongue of your own soul. In our next part, we will turn inward to the most intimate frontier of this silence. Its encounter with the ego, the constructed self, and its profound role in healing the emotional heart. We move from cultural wisdom to the archaeology of the self. We've gathered wisdom from across cultures, seeing how silence is revered as a gateway to knowing. Now we turn to the most personal, and perhaps most challenging, application of that silence, its encounter with the self. Not the true self, but the constructed one, the ego. This is where silence moves from being a practice to being a transformative fire. It's where we move from listening to the world, to listening past the noisy architect of our own personal world. The ego is not a monster. It's a tool, a useful, necessary interface your consciousness built to navigate a complex social world. It's your resume, your social persona, your story of me and mine. But here's the problem. We've come to believe the interface is the entire operating system. We think the username is the user. Silence, when deepened, begins to reveal the difference. Imagine your fundamental awareness is pure, white sunlight. Your ego, your personality, your history, your beliefs, these form an intricate stained glass window. The sunlight passing through this unique configuration of glass creates a specific, beautiful, colorful pattern on the ground, the story of your life. You've spent your entire life analyzing that pattern on the floor. Why is this patch of grief blue? Why is that achievement gold? You think the pattern is the light. Silence is the process of turning your attention away from the colorful pattern on the floor, and toward the window itself, and finally, back to the source light behind it. You begin to see, the blue of my grief is not inherent to the light. It's a tint in this particular pane of glass from a past loss. The light itself remains clear, untinted, and untouched. This is the great liberation. Realizing you are not the colorful, ever-changing pattern of your experiences, the ego's story. You are the silent, constant light that illuminates them all. Let me give you a raw example from my own life. Years ago, I was in a tense collaborative project. A colleague publicly critiqued an idea I'd championed. My ego, the stained glass window of me as competent leader, was struck. The pattern it cast was immediate, hot, red anger. The story was, this is an attack on me. He's trying to undermine my authority. Had I reacted from that noisy story, I would have escalated conflict. But a sliver of practice kicked in. In the space between his words and my retort, I grabbed a micro-silence. I felt the heat in my face, the clutch in my gut. I anchored there for one breath. And in that tiny pocket of quiet, something shifted. I could suddenly see the thought, he's attacking me, as just that, a thought, a story my ego was generating to protect itself. It wasn't necessarily truth. From that slightly detached, silent vantage point, a new possibility emerged. The softer, quieter voice of insight whispered, he's not attacking you. He's scared. The project is off track, and he's panicking. This is about fear, not you. The entire emotional landscape changed. My response shifted from defense to inquiry. You seem worried about the timeline. What's the specific risk you see? The confrontation dissolved into collaboration. That micro-silence created a gap in which I was no longer a puppet of my egoic narrative. I became the witness who could choose a better story. This isn't just philosophy, it's visible in the brain. When you're hijacked by an egoic reaction, anger, fear, pride, it's often the amygdala, your brain's threat alarm, screaming. It's fast, loud, and crude. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for rational judgment and self-awareness, gets knocked offline. The deliberate act of creating a moment of silence, the sacred pause, is like sending a deliberate signal to the prefrontal cortex: wake up. Observe. As you feel the breath, you are neurologically recruiting your higher brain functions. The prefrontal cortex comes back online and can now regulate the amygdala's alarm. It says, "I see the threat signal. Let's assess if this is truly a threat to our existence, or just to our story." Silence is the neural circuit breaker that prevents the ego's alarm from becoming the ego's action. Your psyche can be like a dysfunctional boardroom. The ego isn't one thing, it's a committee of sub-personas, each with its own agenda. The inner critic shouts about flaws. The people-pleaser negotiates for approval. The victim recounts injustices. The achiever demands more milestones. When you are identified with them, you are a chaotic prisoner in this boardroom, whipped around by whichever voice is loudest. The practice of silent awareness is the act of taking the seat at the head of the table, the seat of the witness. You don't fire the committee. They have their uses. The critic can offer course correction. The achiever drives effort. But from the witness chair, you can listen to their reports without believing you are them. You can say, "Thank you, critic, for your concern about that mistake. I've noted it." And then turn to the next item. Silence is the authority that allows you to chair the meeting of your own mind, rather than being a helpless participant in the riot. This is where silence meets the heart's deepest wounds. We often believe that to heal an emotion, we must analyze it, talk about it endlessly, or forcefully replace it with a positive one. This is often just the ego trying to manage the ego. There is another way: silent containment. A woman I worked with, let's call her Elena, carried a deep well of grief from a loss she'd never fully processed. Talk therapy had reached a limit, circling the story was no longer helping. I suggested a simple, silent practice. For 10 minutes each day, she would sit quietly, set a timer, and do one thing: allow herself to feel the physical sensation of the grief in her body, without any story. Where did it ache? Was it heavy? Sharp? Dull? She wasn't to think, "I am so sad," or "Why did this happen?" Just, there is a squeezing sensation in the chest. There is heat behind the eyes. For weeks, she did this. She reported that in the silence, without the narrative, the emotion was just energy, intense, sometimes terrifying energy, but just energy. By witnessing it silently, she stopped fighting it. And a profound law of psychology took over: what you resist, persists. What you fully allow and observe in silence, can complete its cycle and begin to dissolve. The grief didn't vanish, but its paralyzing power over her did. It integrated. The silence had provided a holding space where the heart could finally speak its raw, wordless truth and, in being heard, begin to mend. This brings us to the ultimate promise of this inner work. Your ego is the ever-changing, weather-dependent surface of the lake. It's choppy with opinions, stormy with emotions, frozen with fixed identities. It's what you usually experience as you. But beneath that surface, at your depths, is a different reality, the still, clear, silent water. This is your fundamental nature, awareness itself. Unchanging. Untroubled by the storms above. From this depth, you see the surface weather for what it is, temporary conditions. A leaf, a thought, an emotion, floating on the surface is at the mercy of every wind. But you can learn to be the fish, inhabiting the silent depths, visiting the surface when needed, but always able to retreat to the calm below. The journey from ego to essence is the journey from identifying with the chaotic surface to recognizing yourself as the vast, silent depth that holds it all. You don't destroy the surface, you just learn you are not confined to it. So, this part of the path is sculptural. It is a work of gentle subtraction, not aggressive addition. You are not building a better, shinier ego. You are, with the chisel of silent attention, chipping away the accumulated fragments of false identification, the I am my job, I am my past, I am my opinions. It can feel disorienting, even frightening, as these familiar forms fall away. But what is revealed is not nothingness. It is the essential, silent form that was there all along, the capacity for pure, loving, compassionate awareness. This is where the heart's true voice, unmediated by the ego's fear and desire, can finally be heard. It doesn't shout. It guides with whispers of yes and no felt in the gut. It speaks through empathy that arises unbidden. It is the source of courage that has no need to boast. In the silence where the ego's chatter fades, this voice becomes your most reliable compass. In our next part, we will expand this view to its furthest horizon. We'll explore how this inner silence connects you to the silence of time itself, to the universe, and to a sense of meaning that transcends the personal story. We move from the archaeology of the self to its astronomy. We have journeyed through the inner architecture of silence, past the ego's stories and into the heart's quiet voice. Now, we step back to view this inner work within the grandest frame of all, the frame of time itself. For silence is not just a space within the mind. It is the very portal through which we step out of time's relentless narrative and into the only reality that truly exists, the present moment. Our suffering is often a war with time. We are haunted by the ghosts of the past and anxious for the phantoms of the future. We live in a mental commentary track that is always slightly out of sync with the actual film of our lives. Silence is the switch that turns off the commentary, so you can finally experience the film in high definition now. Think of your life as a film. Your memories are edited sequences from the past, complete with a soundtrack of your interpretation. Your worries are rough drafts of possible future scenes. When you are lost in thought, you are not in the theater watching the current scene, you are in the editing room, obsessively recutting the past or pre-producing a fearful future. And in that editing room, you experience all the emotions of those scenes as if they are real now. Silence is the act of walking out of the editing room and taking your seat in the theater of the present moment. You look at the single frame that is actually projecting right now. This breath. This sensation. This sight. This sound. In that single frame, divorced from the dramatic narrative of before and after, there is often a profound peace. The anxiety was in the story, not in the sensory data of the now. Silence breaks the hypnosis of the storyline and returns you to the raw, unedited experience of being alive. I once guided a man, let's call him David, on a solo vision fast in the canyons of Utah. He was a CEO whose company had just failed. To him, it was an earth-shattering, identity-destroying catastrophe. He was trapped in a loop of past blame and future fear. His mind was deafening. His task was simple: to sit in a designated spot for 48 hours, alone, in silence. No phone, no book, no distraction. Just him, the rock, and the sky. For the first day, he said his mind was a raging tribunal. But as the second day wore on, the sheer, silent presence of the landscape began to seep in. He found himself staring at a sandstone cliff face, noticing the layers, each stripe representing millions of years of deposition, uplift, and erosion. He told me later, in that silence, a humbling thought arose, not as words, but as a feeling: my entire life, from birth to death, will form a layer no thicker than a sheet of paper in this cliff. My catastrophe is a microscopic ripple. This wasn't a depressing thought for him. It was the ultimate relief. The silent, slow time of the canyon had held space for his frantic, human-scale time to simply wear itself out. His personal story didn't feel insignificant, it felt contextualized. He returned not with a business plan, but with a quiet mind. The failure was now a fact, not a world-ending story. From that silence, actual rebuilding could begin. Neuroscience offers a fascinating lens here. Our conscious experience of the present moment is not a point, but a brief window called the phenomenological present, roughly 2 to 3 seconds long. This is the brain's integration window where sights, sounds, and sensations are woven into a coherent now. But our default mode network, that egoic storyteller, is constantly pulling us out of this 3-second window. It drags us into the relived past, which is just a memory trace firing now, and the imagined future, which is a simulation running now. We are rarely inhabiting our biological present. We are time-traveling ghosts. The practice of anchoring in sensory silence, the breath, a sound, a touch, is a direct neurological hack. It forces the spotlight of your attention back into that legitimate 2 to 3 second window of the phenomenological present. You are literally syncing your consciousness with your brain's actual processing of now. In that sync, the mental time travel stops. The war with time ceases. There is only the unfolding moment, experienced directly, without the filter of story. This is the wisdom of impermanence, understood not as a philosophy, but as a felt experience in silence. Everything is in flow. Your thoughts, your feelings, your circumstances, your very body, all are in a state of constant, silent flux. Our suffering arises when we stand on the bank of this river of change, trying to grab hold of a particular pleasing wave, a happy moment, or block an unpleasant current, a painful feeling. It's exhausting and impossible. Silence allows you to step into the boat of awareness. You stop trying to control the river. You sit down in the midst of the flow. From this vantage point, you can observe the passing waves, the joy, the sorrow, the boredom, without needing to possess or reject them. You see their nature, they arise, they peak, and they pass. You are no longer a combatant on the bank, you are a serene traveler within the flow. The boat of awareness is stable, the water of experience is always changing. Silence is how you find the boat. We spend a staggering amount of our lives in waiting. Waiting for the weekend, for vacation, for retirement, for the traffic light to change, for the water to boil. Waiting is a state of self-imposed exile from the present. It says, real life will begin when. I used to be a champion waiter. Then I began to experiment with what I called ambient alchemy. In any situation where I felt myself slipping into the frustrated trance of waiting, I would pick one mundane element of my immediate environment and study it with silent, focused curiosity. Stuck in a long line, I would study the architecture of the ceiling tiles. On hold on the phone, I would map the exact pattern of the hold music's loop. This wasn't distraction. It was a deliberate ritual of presence. It was a declaration that this moment, the DMV moment, the hold music moment, was also my life, and it was available for engagement. The frustration of waiting melted because I ceased to wait. I began to be. The future appointment didn't arrive any faster, but my suffering about the interval disappeared. Silence, applied as curiosity, converts dead time into alive time. Consider ancient ruins. They are the ultimate symbol of impermanence. Empires have fallen, languages have vanished, gods have been forgotten. And yet, when you stand among them in silence, what you often feel is not depression, but a profound peace. Why? Because the ruins are not shouting their story of loss. They are simply present. In their silent presence, they hold a duality, they show you the fact of change in their decay, and they demonstrate the dignity of presence in their enduring form. They are a masterclass in non-resistance. They are not fighting time, they are having a silent dialogue with it. When you stand with them in shared silence, your own small dramas of gain and loss are absorbed into a larger, quieter story. You touch a perspective where your life is not a line racing toward an end, but a point of aware presence, eternally now, within a vast field of time. Perhaps no tradition embodies this marriage of silence, impermanence, and presence more poetically than the Tibetan Buddhist practice of creating sand mandalas. For days, monks work in silent concentration, placing millions of grains of colored sand into an elaborate, sacred geometric universe. It is an act of profound presence and devotion. Then, upon completion, in a ceremony of breathtaking non-attachment, they deliberately destroy it. They sweep the magnificent, temporary universe into a pile and pour it into a flowing river, to spread its blessings. The entire practice is a silent sermon. The creation says, pour your absolute attention and care into the present moment task. The destruction says, hold the result with open hands. Everything composed will decompose. The silence throughout says, this truth is understood not through words, but through the embodied act of making and unmaking. Your own life is that mandala. Your relationships, your projects, your very identity are intricate patterns in time. Silence allows you to build them with love, and to let them go with grace when the cycle is complete. So, we gather the sands of time. From the hourglass, we learn of time's silent, unstoppable flow. From the film frame, we learn to exit the editing room of story and sit in the theater of the sensory now. From the canyon's geology, we learn how silent, vast scales of time can heal frantic, human-scale crises. From the brain's 3-second window, we learn that presence is a biological fact we can choose to inhabit. From the river and the boat, we learn to move from resisting change to traveling with it. From ancient ruins, we learn the peaceful dignity of presence amidst decay. From the sand mandala, we learn the sacred art of creating beautifully while holding nothing permanently. Silence is the key to all of this. It is the solvent that dissolves our identification with the past and future. It is the ground from which we can observe the flow of time without being swept away by it. It turns the terrifying fact of impermanence into the liberating experience of presence. In our next part, we will expand this view to its absolute limit. We'll explore how the inner silence you are cultivating connects to the outer silence of the cosmos itself, and how in that connection, a sense of loneliness dissolves into an experience of profound belonging. We have sat with the sands of time, learning to find peace in the present moment amidst the flow of impermanence. Now, let us turn our gaze upward and outward, to the most expansive context of all. For the silence we cultivate within has a cosmic counterpart, a vast, humming quiet that isn't empty, but full of the most fundamental truths of existence. When your inner noise settles, you don't just hear your own heart, you begin to sense the heartbeat of the universe itself. Carl Sagan, reflecting on that pale blue dot image, said we must deal more kindly with one another, and preserve and cherish that pale blue dot, the only home we've ever known. That insight came from a shift in perspective, from seeing ourselves as the center of separate stories to seeing us as a tiny, shared fragment in an immense cosmic narrative. Silence creates that same perspective shift internally. It moves you from the noisy center of your personal drama to a quiet observation point within a vast, interconnected whole. Modern physics paints a universe that is, at its fundamental level, a silent dance of energy and information. What we perceive as solid matter is, at the quantum scale, a probabilistic cloud of vibrations. A star, a stone, your hand, a thought, all are temporary patterns in this same energetic field. The famous physicist Sir James Jeans said the universe begins to look more like a great thought than a great machine. So, what is the medium of a thought? It is consciousness. And what is the space between thoughts? It is silent awareness. If the universe is thought-like, then the silent awareness within you is not separate from the fabric of the cosmos, it is of the same essence. The chatter of your mind is like static on a radio, obscuring the clear signal. When the static fades in meditation, you're not tuning into something out there. You are allowing the innate signal of interconnected existence, which is always broadcasting, to be perceived. You are the radio becoming clear. A friend of mine, an astronomer, once gave me a private tour of her university's planetarium after hours. She ran a program that simply mapped the precise stars overhead, in real time, onto the dome. Then she turned off all the lights and the narration. We sat in the plush seats, in total darkness and total silence, under a perfect, silent replica of the cosmos. For the first 10 minutes, my mind did its thing. That's Orion. That's a binary star. I should look up the name of that nebula. Then, the cataloging mind grew tired. In the deep, simulated space silence, something else emerged. A felt sense, not a thought. A sense of being within the display, not under it. The boundary between my body and the chair and the dome seemed to soften. It wasn't frightening, it was profoundly peaceful. The feeling was, this is not a show I am watching. This is what I am made of. I am a localized gathering of stardust that has become complex enough to look back at the rest of the gathering. The silent cosmos outside became a mirror for the silent cosmos within. The loneliness I sometimes felt in daily life evaporated in that silent recognition of unity. Science offers a startling metaphor for this interconnection: quantum entanglement. When two particles are entangled, they are no longer separate objects but parts of a single quantum system. You can separate them by billions of light years, and a change to one is instantly reflected in the other. They communicate not by sending a signal through space, but by being fundamentally non-local, aspects of one unified field. Now, consider this: every atom in your right hand and every atom in your left hand were once entangled in the primordial fire of the Big Bang. You are made of ancient, entangled stardust. The feeling of separation you experience, from other people, from nature, from the universe, is an illusion maintained by the localized, identifying chatter of your egoic mind. In the deep silence of meditation or awe, when that chatter subsides, you can sometimes touch the felt sense of non-locality. A feeling of unity with a loved one far away. A sense of being one with a mountain landscape. This isn't magic, it's physics experienced subjectively. Silence allows you to feel the truth of your entanglement. Another compelling model from theoretical physics is the holographic principle. It suggests that all the information needed to describe a 3D volume of space, like our universe, is encoded on its 2D boundary, like a cosmic hologram. The mind-bending implication: every piece of the universe contains information about the whole. Apply this metaphor to your consciousness. In deep silence, when you access the formless awareness beneath your thoughts, you are not accessing a small, personal silence. You are tapping into the holographic plate of universal consciousness. The peace, the love, the intelligence you find there is not yours alone, it is a property of the whole, experienced locally through you. Your personal mind is the 3D projection, unique, detailed, seemingly separate. Your silent awareness is the 2D source code. Unified, whole, and containing the pattern of everything. In silence, you shift your identity from the unique projection to the shared source. This isn't just lofty philosophy, it has practical, even survival-level applications. I knew an experienced backpacker who taught me a critical rule: when you're lost, the first thing to do is sit down and shut up. Not just your mouth, but your mind. He once found himself disoriented in a dense forest as light faded. The initial surge of fear shouted solutions: run that way. No, this way. He forced himself to sit against a tree. He closed his eyes and focused on slowing his breath, creating a bubble of silent calm in the storm of panic. After 5 minutes of this enforced inner quiet, he opened his eyes. His senses, no longer hijacked by fear, were acute. He noticed the bark moss grew thicker on the north side of the trees. He felt a barely perceptible incline underfoot. He heard, very faintly, the consistent murmur of a creek downhill. This silent, collected information formed a clear map in his mind. He walked calmly to the creek and followed it to safety. The chaos of being lost, whether in a forest or in life, is almost always exacerbated by the noise of panic. The silent, receptive mind doesn't create new information, it becomes capable of perceiving the information that is already there, the subtle signs of interconnection and natural law. The universe was whispering the way out, he just had to get quiet enough to hear it. Perhaps the most powerful empirical evidence for this shift comes from astronauts who experienced the overview effect. Seeing Earth from space, a fragile blue marble against the black void, often triggers a profound cognitive shift. They report a transcendent sense of unity, an overwhelming desire for peace, and a deep understanding that borders and divisions are human constructs. What's the common thread in their descriptions? Awe. And awe is the emotional experience of your personal narrative being swallowed by a silent, vast, and beautiful reality. You don't need a rocket ship. The overview effect is available through what we might call the inner view effect. When you use silence to disidentify from your personal ego story, you achieve the same cognitive shift. You see your worries, your social roles, your possessions, from a distant, silent, compassionate space. They look smaller. The interconnectedness of all life feels more real. The urge to protect, to connect, to cherish naturally arises. Deep silence is the internal spacecraft that gives you the overview of your own life. So, let us end with a simple, final metaphor. See yourself as a candle flame. Your personality, your body, your story, this is the unique, dancing shape of your flame. It is beautiful and distinct. But what allows the flame to exist? It is the silent, invisible, universal space of the room, the oxygen. The flame is not separate from the air, it is a temporary, beautiful pattern within it. When the candle is gone, the flame vanishes, but the air remains. Your true self, the silent awareness you touch in meditation, is not the fleeting flame. It is the vast, silent, allowing space within which the flame of your personal life arises and dances. You are not just the flame. You are also the space. And that space is not yours alone, it is the shared substance of all that is. In deep silence, you feel this. The loneliness of being a solitary flame dissolves into the peace of being the boundless, interconnected space. In our next part, we will bring this cosmic perspective back down to earth, into the realm of action. How does this silent, interconnected awareness translate into creativity, into decisive action, into the state of flow? We move from cosmic witness to creative participant. We have gazed at the stars, touched the silent fabric of interconnection. Now, we return to the workshop of daily life. For what is the value of cosmic silence if it doesn't change how we create, how we decide, how we move through our days? The profound truth is this: silence is not the opposite of action. It is the source of masterful action. The most creative, decisive, and effective states of being are born not from noise, but from a deep, inner quiet. The blacksmith doesn't think his way through each hammer strike. He listens. He watches the glow of the metal. He feels the vibration up his arm. His mind is quiet, his body is intelligent, and the work flows from that unified silence. This is the state we seek, not a blank mind, but a clear channel. Consider the creative process. We often think of creativity as a storm of ideas, a brainstorm, a noisy explosion of possibility. And that has its place. But the moment of actual creation, the stroke of the brush, the shaping of the sentence, the chord progression, that moment almost always emerges from a pocket of silence. The writer staring at the blank page isn't waiting for more words in their head, they are waiting for the internal chatter to subside so the right word can drop in. The musician isn't forcing a melody. They are listening in the quiet between notes for the one that wants to come next. Creative block is not a lack of ideas. It's a traffic jam of ideas, judgments, and fears. Silence is the traffic cop that clears the intersection, allowing the one true idea to move forward. I knew an architect, Alina, who was tasked with designing a home on a difficult, sloping plot of land. She'd produced a dozen competent, logical designs, but none felt right. They fought the land. On a mentor's advice, she did something seemingly unprofessional. She went to the site every day for a week at sunrise, set up a chair, and just sat there. No notebook, no tablet. She called it listening to the land. For days, nothing but breeze and birdsong. Then, on the fourth morning, sitting in that receptive silence, she had a visceral, almost physical sensation. She felt where the house should nestle into the hill, not perch on top of it. She saw, in her mind's eye, how the morning light would slice through a central courtyard. The design appeared whole, complete, and obvious. It hadn't been assembled from parts, it had emerged from the silent dialogue between her and the place. She later said, "I didn't design it. I uncovered it." The silence was the tool that removed the dirt. Her most celebrated work was born not from relentless thinking, but from patient, silent listening. This state has a name in psychology: flow. Athletes call it the zone. It's that magical experience where time distorts, self-consciousness vanishes, and action and awareness merge. You are fully immersed, performing at your peak, effortlessly. Neuroscientists studying flow find a fascinating signature: transient hypofrontality. This means the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for self-criticism, timekeeping, and doubt, temporarily dials down its activity. The inner narrator, the egoic editor, goes offline. What's left is pure, silent, embodied doing. The musician becomes the music. The surfer becomes the wave. The programmer becomes the code. Your deliberate practice of silence is a training regimen for transient hypofrontality. You are teaching your prefrontal cortex to let go, to stop micromanaging, to trust the intelligence of the rest of your system. Meditation is a dress rehearsal for flow. In the silence of focused attention, you practice quieting the CEO so the skilled workers, your intuition, your senses, your muscle memory, can do their masterful work unimpeded. Now, apply this to decision-making. We face a big choice, and our modern impulse is to seek more data, research, pros and cons lists, polling friends. We add cognitive noise. This is like the ship's captain cranking up the engine volume to better hear the lighthouse. It's counterproductive. The wise captain knows you must sometimes create silence to hear the signal. You must cut the engines of frantic research and mental debate. You must create an inner quiet. In that quiet, you are not looking for more data points. You are listening for a different kind of data, resonance. Does option A feel like a clear tone, a yes, in the body? Does option B create a dissonance, a subtle tightening? This isn't magical thinking, it's your subconscious intelligence, which has already processed millions of data points your conscious mind can't hold, communicating its conclusion through the silent language of sensation and feeling. The perfect decision often doesn't sound right, it feels right. And you can only feel it in the quiet. A CEO client of mine faced a monumental acquisition decision. The spreadsheets were ambivalent. The board was split. He was paralyzed. I gave him a simple, seemingly absurd directive. For 1 hour, you are forbidden to make a decision. Your only job is to sit in silence and imagine you have chosen path A, live it in your mind for 20 minutes. Feel it in your gut. Then, wipe the slate. Imagine you have chosen path B. Do the same. Don't judge, just feel. He did it. In the silent immersion of the first path, he felt a background hum of anxiety, a sense of forcing a square peg. When he switched to the second path, he reported a sensation of things clicking into place, a quiet excitement, a sense of the path having its own momentum. The silent, felt experience was unambiguous. He took the second path. It succeeded spectacularly. He told me later, the data gave me the what. The silence gave me the why. I didn't choose it, I recognized it as the only real option. This brings us to the ancient Taoist concept of Wu Wei, often translated as non-action or effortless action. It does not mean passivity. It means action that is so perfectly in accord with the flow of reality that it requires no forcing, no wasted effort. It is the action of the bamboo stalk bending in the wind. It doesn't resist, it doesn't overcorrect, it moves with supreme efficiency and resilience. Wu Wei is the fruit of inner silence. When your mind is quiet, you are not projecting your ego's will onto the world. You are perceiving the world's own patterns, its grain, its current. And you act in harmony with it. The solution presents itself. The right word comes. The necessary action feels obvious and almost effortless. You are not pushing the river, you are swimming with it, using its current to propel you. The silence within allows you to feel the current's direction. So, we see the silent craft at work across domains. For the artist, silence is the clearing where true form emerges. For the athlete or performer, silence is the zone where self-doubt vanishes and excellence takes over. For the leader, silence is the chamber where resonance outweighs reason, leading to decisive, aligned choices. For the craftsperson, silence is the unity of mind and hand that produces mastery. For the innovator, silence is the fertile void where the truly new can germinate, away from the noise of convention. Your practice of silence is not a retreat from the world of action. It is the maintenance of your most crucial tool. It sharpens your intuition, frees your creativity, clarifies your decisions, and unlocks the state of flow. It turns effortful striving into graceful participation. In our final part, we will bring this entire journey home. We'll talk about integration. How to weave these threads of silence not just into moments of practice, but into the very fabric of your daily life, relationships, and sense of purpose. We move from the mountaintop view to the path under your own feet. Welcome back to Monk's Temple. This is where our path finds its footing, not on a remote mountain, but on the ground you walk every day. We have journeyed from the first recognition of silence as fullness, through the landscapes of nature and mind, across cultures and time, and into the heart of creativity and flow. We have gathered profound maps and powerful tools. Now, we face the most human, most beautiful question: how do you live this? How does the silence you touch in meditation become the silence you speak from in a difficult conversation? How does the cosmic perspective become patience with your child? This is the art of integration. This is weaving the silent, constant thread of awareness into the vibrant, changing fabric of your daily life. Think of your fundamental awareness, the silent witness, as the warped thread on the loom. It is strong, constant, and runs through the entire length of the fabric. Your daily experiences, your work, your relationships, your joys, your challenges, are the weft threads. They are colorful, varied, and constantly changing. The art of living is not to live in the warp alone, disconnected abstraction, nor to be lost in the chaotic weft, reactive drama. It is to consciously weave them together, allowing the silent, stable warp to give structure and resilience to the beautiful, unfolding pattern of your life. Integration doesn't begin with grand gestures. It begins in the mundane. It starts by claiming ordinary moments as micro-sanctuaries of silence. You do not need an hour of meditation to practice. You need one conscious breath while your hands are in dishwater. Try this, for one routine activity today: making coffee, brushing your teeth, walking to your car. Perform it in dedicated sensory silence. Give the task your full, silent attention. Feel the weight of the kettle. Watch the steam rise. Smell the grounds. Listen to the pour. When your mind darts to yesterday's meeting, gently return it to the sensation of the warm mug in your hand. You are not just making coffee. You are conducting a brief, sacred ceremony in awareness. This is how you dye the weft threads of daily life with the color of the warp. You make the ordinary holy through attentive silence. I have a friend, a teacher in New York City, who transformed her mental health with what she calls her silent commute. Twice a day, on the crowded train, she made a rule: no headphones, no phone, no book. Just her, the train, and the people. At first, it was agony. The mental itch to do something was intense. But she persisted. She began to notice things. The way an elderly man carefully folded his newspaper. The changing graffiti art in the tunnels. The collective, silent endurance of the morning crowd. She started to see her fellow passengers not as obstacles, but as companions in a shared, silent journey. She said that 40-minute silent commute became a decompression chamber. I'd arrive at school not already frazzled from podcast opinions, but quietly present. And I'd arrive home having shed the day's chaos, ready for my family. She didn't add more time to her day, she changed the quality of time that was already there by infusing it with receptive silence. Now, bring this integration into your most important space, your relationships. We think communication is about words. But the highest form of communication is often conversational silence. The quality of quiet, attentive presence you offer another. Most of us listen to reply. Our minds are busy crafting our next point, our defense, our clever insight. This is noisy listening. Silent listening is different. It means offering your full, quiet attention. Your mind is still. You are not evaluating, you are receiving. You are creating a silent, safe space for the other person to hear themselves think. In this silence, truth emerges. Connection deepens. Often, the person will solve their own problems simply by having it reflected in the clear mirror of your quiet attention. Your silent presence is the greatest gift you can give. The ultimate test of integration is conflict. Here, the sacred pause we discussed becomes a relational lifeline. In my own marriage, my wife and I have an agreed-upon sign, a raised open hand. It means, I am flooding. I need a silence timeout. It is not a dismissal. It is a commitment to the relationship. A recognition that what we are about to say from our reactive, noisy ego will cause damage, and we choose the silence of repair over the noise of injury. Those 5 or 10 minutes of separate, intentional silence are not spent stewing. They are spent grounding. Feeling the feet on the floor. Breathing. Allowing the storm of, I'm right, to settle. In that quiet, the deeper truth often surfaces, I'm scared, or I feel unseen. When we reconvene, we speak from that quieter, more vulnerable place. The argument becomes a dialogue. Integrated silence is the immune system of a healthy relationship. It stops the infection of harsh words before it spreads. This integration builds a new kind of resilience. We often think of resilience as toughness, a gritted-teeth endurance. But the resilience born of silence is different. It is flexible strength. It is the resilience of the bamboo, not the oak. When the storms of life hit, loss, failure, shock, your untrained self may snap like a dry branch, identified completely with the pain. But with a practiced connection to your silent core, you have a different experience. The storm of emotion rages in the branches of your mind and body, but you are also in touch with the deep, silent roots of your awareness. You can feel the storm without believing you are the storm. You can bend without breaking. You can say, "This grief is tremendous," while intuitively knowing, in a silent place beneath the words, that you are the space holding the grief, and you will not be destroyed by it. This is unshakable peace. So, imagine your life as a spinning wheel. The outer rim is a blur of activity, your roles, tasks, conversations, errands. It spins fast. If you identify with the rim, you feel dizzy, frantic, and centrifugal force threatens to throw you off. But every spinning wheel has a silent center, the still point of the axle. It does not move. The entire productive function of the wheel depends on the stability of this silent center. Your daily practice of silence, the morning minutes of meditation, the mindful breaths, the sensory anchors, is not an escape from the spinning wheel of life. It is the daily maintenance and conscious inhabiting of the silent center. The more you anchor your identity in that still, silent point of awareness, the more you can engage with the spinning rim, your busy life, with balance, clarity, and purpose. You are in the world, but not of its frantic spin. You work from the calm center, and your actions carry the quality of that calm into the world. Let us gather the full tapestry now. You began seeing silence as a full pond, not an empty one. You learned from the spider's web to be a receptive field. You found gates of attention in breath and sensation. You saw cultural mirrors from Druids to Taoists affirming this path. You weathered the ego's dissolution to hear the heart's true voice. You stood with cosmic time to find the peace of the present. You felt the universe's whisper of interconnection. You harnessed silence for creativity and flow. And now, you learn to weave it all into the daily fabric of being. This is not a destination. It is a direction. It is the gentle, lifelong turning of your attention inward, to the silent source that has been with you all along. You will forget. The noise will win some days. That's okay. The practice is not perfection, it is the faithful returning. The gentle remembering. The next breath, taken consciously. You are not broken, and you do not need fixing. You are not empty, and you do not need filling. You are a momentarily noisy expression of an eternally silent reality. Your journey is one of remembering, of clearing the clutter to reveal the pristine room that was always there. Welcome to the ongoing practice. Welcome to the silent core of your own existence. Welcome to a life where answers are not chased, but heard in the quiet spaces you learn to honor. Welcome, always, to Monk's Temple. This has been a journey we've taken together. But your journey is unique. Where have you found your moments of quiet clarity? What resonates most deeply with you? Your stories and insights are a vital part of this community's wisdom. Share them in the comments below. If this path of inner clarity calls to you, and you wish to continue exploring, I invite you to subscribe. There is always more depth to plumb, more quiet to discover, together. Thank you for your precious time, and most of all, thank you for your courage to listen to these words, and to the profound silence that holds them.